Hello and a very warm welcome to you. We appreciate you for tuning in. This is Galaxy TV News, our top stories. Lagos residents defy social distancing as fire engulfs Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation petrol station, Ogba area of Lagos. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari to address the nation at 8 tonight on COVID-19 lockdown updates. Moving outside Nigeria, following recovery from COVID-19, UK Prime Minister charges citizens to be patient. And on the sports news, Super Eagles coach Garnet Raw tips Osimhen for greatness. Many thanks for joining us. I am Rita Omodia. On our first story this bulletin, there was a severe fire outbreak at the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC petrol station located along College Road in the Ogba area of Lagos State on Monday. Kelly Egiga was there and now reports.
It was a sad and black Monday for residents of Yaya Abaton area of Ogba and workers at the NNPC filling station in Lagos, Nigeria. It is not a sight to behold, as the debris of devastation and despair could still be seen everywhere. We arrived at the scene of the outbreak and make haste to know the cause of the fire.
We were at the beat, Yaya Abaton Junction here, when we heard of an explosion about 13:00 hour. We quickly rushed down to here, myself and other two officers. We quickly rushed down here. On getting down here, the outbreak is total beyond comprehension. So we couldn't come closer to this place. I put a call through to 767, and which they said they have been receiving series of calls in regarding of this fire outbreak.
I noticed at a first glance at the explosion site, it seemed like everyone was working together to bring order to the chaos that was evident in the environment. However, the firefighters have difficulties in putting out the inferno, while some nearby houses, including a car stand, is also gutted by the fire. Sadly, over 9 cars are consumed by the fire as youth in the area make efforts to salvage the situation.
Yeah, I was here when this thing starts, about 5 minutes. You understand, bros? If the price was they come in time, they will kill this thing before this thing starts. Because the fire starts from this tanker. And people here, others are here, they already called them. Say, 10 minutes ago when this thing starts. When this thing starts, about 45 minutes, last then. The first motor that first come said there's no water. He said there's no water. Later, you run.
What's going on now? The governments are not trying. We try calling the firefighters. In fact, they blocked some of our people's number. Yes. They blocked many numbers. Many people called them. They did not even respond. Even when they came, they were just rallying about. They were just running about. They don't even know what to do. They are confused. Even not for the youth. They are really confused. They don't know what to do.
While Nigerians continue to wrestle with the COVID-19 pandemic and the numerous economic challenges surrounding the virus, victims of the explosion at the Yaya Abato area of Ogba, Lagos, Nigeria, will continue to count the losses experienced as a result of the fire incident for many years to come. Kelly Egiga, Galaxy Television News, Lagos.
Now, away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari will address the nation at 8 p.m. tonight. The address became necessary as the additional 2 weeks lockdown declared by the president to stop the spread of the coronavirus ends today. Recall that the Presidential Task Force had visited the president on Sunday to give him an update on the fight to curb the spread of the virus in the country. Television, radio and other electronic media stations are enjoined to hook up to the network services of the Nigerian Television Authority and Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, respectively, for the broadcast. Now, in a bid to enforce the lockdown order by the Adamawa State government, Adamawa State Police has arraigned over 20 people for violating the order. The offenders were arraigned before a mobile court set up by the state government to punish erring members of the public. The court, presided over by Honorable Daniel John, while listening to the offenders at different times, sentenced over 20 of them of 2 hours community service, while over 10 were set free for genuine reasons. The convicts were asked to clean the gates of Jimeta Modern Market. The trial judge, Honorable Daniel John, while admonishing the offenders, said the exercise is not to punish the citizens who violate government's order. Earlier, the police public relations officer, Suleiman Nguroje, in an interview, said the joint security operations is to ensure that the lockdown order is obeyed.
We are operating within the confinement of the law, and nobody is above the law. If you are asked to do something, just comply immediately.
You see, considering the situation Adamawa State found itself, that's why Adamawa State government has made an order, total lockdown order. And all the security agents you are seeing here, we are out this time around not to monitor the compliance, but to enforce the total lockdown order pronounced by the state government.
Now from Adamawa, we cross over to Kaduna State, where the Ministry of Health has confirmed 5 new cases of COVID-19 in the state. The development brings the COVID-19 case to 9 active cases in the state. In a statement issued by the State Commissioner of Health, Dr. Amina Mohammed Baloni, said the new cases are among Almajiri who were recently repatriated from Kano. The contacts of the new cases are being traced so that they can be monitored and tested if they meet the case definition. The new patients have been moved to the Infectious Diseases Control Center, the state's premier isolation center. She further stated that testing capacity has improved in the state. 2 labs, 1 each in Kaduna and Zaria, have been accredited by NCDC to conduct COVID-19 tests. Now, still in the north, the State Ministry of Health has confirmed 2 additional deaths to the novel coronavirus pandemic. According to the ministry, the state now has a total of 3 deaths and 77 active cases of the COVID-19. Kano State correspondent King Richard reports that the ministry posted on its official Twitter account saying as at 12:15 p.m. 27th April 2020, Kano State government recorded an additional 2 deaths of COVID-19. This is coming after a weekend where the state lost over 20 prominent indigenous people residing in the state. Although the State Ministry of Information attributes deaths to other diseases like hypertension and diabetes and malaria, they, however, said in the press release that further investigations are ongoing to ascertain the actual cause of high death tolls in the state. You're watching Galaxy TV News. Still ahead, residents bemoan high death toll in Kano State. Details of this and other stories when Galaxy News returns. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Galaxy TV News. For more updates and latest news, you can log on to our website at www.galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at @officialGalaxyTV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Now, still on the news, residents of the ancient city of Kano are bemoaning the high death toll being recorded in the state in the last 2 weeks since the total lockdown was declared to stop the spread of COVID-19. At some of the graveyards in the metropolis, undertakers said they are overwhelmed with the high death toll this year. Abubakar Sani, who came to bury 2 of his relatives, said they found it difficult to access the graveyard because of the crowd of people that also came to bury their dead. One of the government officials said over 600 deaths were recorded at the city center last week. Kano state government has said that it is still carrying out investigations on the causes of deaths but ruled out COVID-19.
We are losing people that are in their 70s, 60s and 80s. Sincerely, we have not recorded any high number of deaths like this before. We came to bury 2 people. When we got to this graveyard, we found it very difficult to get in because of the crowd that also came to bury their dead. They brought many corpses here today for burial.
Over 20 prominent Kano residents died over the weekend, some of which include people from the banking sector, media, academia and the business arena.
We came to bury a father and his son. The father has been ill for a while before his passing, but the son who died this morning is suspected to have succumbed to typhoid and malaria. I came to bury my mother. We buried 6 on my street. We also buried 7 in Dala area. In my family alone, we lost 5 people over the weekend.
Now, in other news, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced the first index case for Bayelsa State. The Bayelsa State governor, who recently embarked on the sensitization and demolition of illegal structures and markets across the state after shortening its borders with neighboring Delta and Bayelsa State, is expected to brief the media despite several proactive measures and knocks from market women on the demolition of their shops during the lockdown. Meanwhile, strict measures in preventing motorists entering and leaving the state have been applied in line with the interstate lockdown order of the Nigerian Governors Forum. Now to other news. Once again, another 2 weeks has elapsed on the lockdown directive given by President Muhammadu Buhari in Lagos, Ogun State and the FCT to curb the spread of coronavirus in Nigeria. Living with it, uncertainties and questions as to whether Nigeria can afford another lockdown. Details in this report. 2 months down the line of the first COVID-19 case in Nigeria, a month of lockdown, limited testing and isolation facilities, increased death in personnel, leading to reduced medical personnel, 40 deaths, over 1,200 confirmed cases, with Lagos carrying the bulk of the burnt. Experts have continued to insist for a more Afro-centric response to solving the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. Speaking with Galaxy News, public affairs analyst Biodun Shoumi says despite the limitless advantages of the lockdown to curb the spread of COVID-19 and allow for increased testing, the lockdown should be relaxed to avoid an economic pandemic.
Why are you locking down? You live in a country where there's no little or no social housing. What you have is people living in communally. You know, you have about 40, 60 people living in a bedroom of 8 rooms. You know, how do you lock those people down? It only takes one person to have the infection and then the whole people in that house will have it. And you can see the number, you know, growing exponentially. Nobody has gone to the rural areas to do testing. Nobody is even providing any isolation center for people in the rural areas. All the efforts taken so far concentrate on a band center. So when you then ask yourself, what will be the impact of this on food production, on the food security of the nation in the next course of 6 months, you know, it remains to be seen. So I think we need to relax the lockdown in order to mitigate against possible food insecurity in the country, against possible increase in unemployment, and to ensure that industries will not collapse. Otherwise, we are working towards social discontent, and when that happens, nobody will be able to control it, and this is really very worrying.
Corroborating the views for relaxation of lockdowns, especially in high-profile business areas, with monitored movement intrastate while enforcing interstate travel ban, another public affairs analyst, Emeka Madunagu, says the government and private sectors should begin to think innovatively by creating a more diversified economy to meet varying needs.
Sources of revenue available to Nigeria. How diversified are they? How much do we try to sweat these sources of revenue? And then what about savings? How seriously are we taking the Sovereign Wealth Fund? How much have we invested in it? How much have we tried to look at other areas outside oil, which, you know, is our mainstay? How much have we tried to look into agriculture, look into using agro-processing, creating different value chains in agro-processing so that we do not have to suffer hunger, we have food security, and then we can also produce things that are needed by our people, by Nigerians. We should look at also becoming an industrialized nation. We should try to ramp up our industrial capacity such that, certain things don't have to be, to look like rocket science for us to achieve. For instance, this personal protective equipment. Why have we not been able to develop capacity, to produce these things? We're talking of testing kits. Why have we not been able to develop some of these things?
Recall that in a letter dated April 24, 2020, and signed by Nigeria Governors Forum Chairman, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, the Nigeria Governors Forum asked President Muhammadu Buhari to scale down the total lockdown imposed in Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja. The governors have asked Buhari to allow free movement in all the states, but with restrictions on large gatherings. With hunger and insecurity threats looming, Nigerians therefore wait on President Muhammadu Buhari on the way forward. Do we have an extension or relaxation of the lockdowns? Rita Omodia for Galaxy News, Lagos. Now moving on, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has called for better and more effective security network to curb movement of people from one state to another during the ongoing ravaging coronavirus pandemic. Briefing newsmen at the Government House in Alagbaka, Akure, the Ondo State capital, Governor Akeredolu said it is quite unfortunate that all the 8 cases of COVID-19 in the state were people who illegally smuggled themselves into the state. Governor Akeredolu charged the Nigeria Police Force to increase surveillance on interstate travelers, which is currently prohibited, especially in the southwestern states of Nigeria.
The approach to managing this crisis. Government in all states need the cooperation and adherence of all citizens and residents to pursue the protocols and ensure that they are observed. That, again, is only the winning formula.
Governor Akeredolu also used the forum to pacify the people of the state who have been complaining about the economic effect of the stay-at-home order, saying all measures put in place are for the good of all and sundry and which must be followed to curb further outbreak.
Is not immune. You can see the number of deaths is increasing by the day. The record of its expansion, as you can read every day, are escalating each day.
Now to security matters, daredevil armed robbers unleashed terror on some residents in Akure, the Ondo State capital, carting away both cash and foodstuffs. The bandits, it was learned, invaded some street in Ijakpo Estate, Alagbaka GRA and Oda Road, where they successfully operated for hours, while they ordered the victims to give them more money. In Ijakpo Estate, the bandits reportedly invaded the houses around 1 a.m. and gained entrance into the affected residents, dispossessing them of cash and other valuables. In Alagbaka GRA, where the robbers raided about 12 houses, the hoodlums were said to have arrived the lonely street at about 4:30 p.m. without anyone around them noticing. Meanwhile, the State Police Public Relations Officer Lilio Ikoro, through telephone conversation, confirmed the incident with an assurance that patrol teams have been deployed to monitor movement in and around the city to forestall such occurrence. Away from all that, let's join Onyinyechi Ogu for news making rounds in the sporting arena.
In the world of sport, Super Eagles coach Kenneth Rowe has tipped forward Victor Osimhen for greatness, insisting the 21-year-old has what it takes to be a top player. Osimhen has been enjoying a brilliant debut season in France after notching 18 goals and 4 assists in 38 appearances for Lille so far. The form he has seen attract interest from a host of clubs in Europe, including Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United and Barcelona. Speaking on Instagram Live, Ross said even though Osimhen had a few challenges with injuries in the past, he had shown the right attitude to bounce back. The German tactician also added that the fact that Manchester United are keeping tabs on him shows he's got a great future ahead of him.
News from the international scene is up next.
Welcome to the international scene. The UK is at the moment of maximum risk in the coronavirus outbreak, Boris Johnson has said as he urged people not to lose patience with the lockdown. Speaking outside Number 10 for the first time since recovering from the virus, Mr. Johnson said, quote, "We are now beginning to turn the tide on the disease." But he said he refused to throw away the public's effort and sacrifice and relax the lockdown too soon. He added that more details on any changes will be given in the coming days. On Tuesday at 1100 BST, a minute's silence will be held to commemorate key workers who have died with the virus. Mr. Johnson and Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon have both invited the country to take part. The latest government figures brought the total number of people who have died with the virus in UK hospitals to 20,732 after a further 413 were announced on Sunday. The Prime Minister returned to Downing Street on Sunday after more than 3 weeks off sick. Mr. Johnson apologized for being away from his desk for much longer and he thanked his colleagues who stood in for him. In the speech on Monday morning, Mr. Johnson said he understood concerns from business owners who were impatient to end the lockdown. He said ending it too soon could lead to a second spike in cases and cause more deaths, economic disaster and restrictions being reintroduced.
Now, for more updates and latest news, you can log on to our website, www.galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at official GalaxyTV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your life updates and comments. And that's Galaxy TV News at this time. To join us again at 9 for our flagship bulletin. I am Rita Omodia. Many thanks for staying tuned.